Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by Elliot Grigg. We have just watched the weigh-ins for the IBF Super Featherweight title fight. Joe Cordina, of course, the champion, defending his title against Edward Vazquez in Monte Carlo this weekend in Monaco. Elliot, we've just watched the weigh-ins there. Both men, of course, making weight, 130 pounds. The weight limit there for the Super Featherweight, 9 stone 4, 58.9 kg, whichever form of weight you like to measure it in. So yeah, both made weight, both 129 points something. What are your initial thoughts and your initial reactions on what we just watched?
Yeah, I mean, my initial reactions are, I thought Cordina looked pretty drawn at the weight, to be honest with you. Obviously, bigger man. I thought Vasquez looked like he made it a lot easier than Cordina. I suppose that's obviously the issue when you're the champion, isn't it? It's kind of continually sort of competing in a weight class that maybe you don't necessarily want to compete in or necessarily make as healthy as you once did. But I think for me, that was kind of expected, to be honest. I don't know if it was for you as well, but quite surprising to see. But to be honest, I mean, we'll probably get onto this obviously before the end of the video, but I don't necessarily think it will have an actual demonstrable effect actually on how I think the fight's going to go. But for me, it's more, I'm looking at that and I'm looking at maybe Cordina in this division at 130 going forward, how sustainable that'll be. But yeah, how about yourself? What did you make of it?
Yeah, mate, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there with what you've said in terms of um everyone hates making weight. Unless you're a heavyweight, weigh-in day must or the week prior to fight night must be absolute hell. Um And I agree with what you've said there. I mean, I think Cordina did look drawn, but then I look back and think, that Rakhimov fight when he won back the IBF belt after getting stripped, he looked really drawn there as well. I think I remember doing the weigh-in reaction for that, and he didn't look particularly good. Similar he here. He's still quite big for the weight. Of course, he used to, campaign at lightweight there for a while, won the British title and all at lightweight, and then he stepped down 5 pounds to super feather. So it's probably one of them where in the not so distant future he will step back up to lightweight and maybe campaign there. But seeing as he's, a lot of people consider him the number one in the division at super feather, I think he'll be here for at least another couple fights until it is too difficult for him. But yeah, I mean, and going with what you said with Vasquez, we don't know a huge lot about him, do we? Apart from his draw, his loss, which was a close one to Ray Ford. But apart from that, mate, just judging on how he looked on the scales, not taking into consideration any fights we've watched or whatever, he looked fantastic. I think. Yes, he's the smaller man, but he looked really, really good on the scales. Looked ready. He had, I don't know whether it was his coach or whatever, but it's some boy hyping him up on the side, which was quite funny. I found, but yeah, no, he looks ready. He looks ready for the challenge against Joe Cordina. Something that I'd like to mention to you, get your thoughts on Elliot as well. Obviously, we've just seen the weigh-ins there, but a lot of people are. I can't remember whether it was an interview I saw with Eddie Hearn or with somebody else that obviously Jackie Foster is the WBC champion in this weight, and he supposedly trains alongside Vasquez, and has been saying that Vasquez has been flying in the gym. So read into that what you will, without kind of giving your final predictions away, which we'll come to at the end of the video. Does that mean anything to you at all, or is that just kind of a way of building the fight? Do you think that there's a potential here that Joe Cordina could be in a bit of a sticky fight here?
No, not for me, Paul. I don't read anything into those sort of things. Frankly, I feel like, I mean, we heard before AJ fought Helenius, he was flying in the camp. Everyone was in Derek James's gym, was talking about, how well he was training. And similarly, when Errol Spence was training, the performance, I don't know, it wasn't necessarily a bad performance. Terence Crawford was exceptional, but the performance that he put in there didn't necessarily look like peak Spence either. So it's like when I see those guys, gym companions, training partners, etc., come out and say these things, for me, it means absolutely nothing to me. I'd almost be surprised if they said something other. I only pay attention to it if they turn around and went, he got dropped in sparring or he looked horrendous. So for me, no, I don't read anything into it, frankly. And like your point you were mentioning about the sort of size on the scales, I think looking at that, I mean, it was noticeable, wasn't it? Pronounced size difference between these two guys. I know Cordina obviously looked like we both said, a bit drained, but equally rehydrating for tomorrow night, you do not want to be giving away that much difference, I don't think, to someone like Joe Cordina, who's also got fast hands and has now recently demonstrably shown that he's got power as well. So it's not made any sort of difference in my prediction. But I'm not going to give my prediction yet, Paul. I'm going to wait for you to announce the official predictions. But yeah, if you'd like to give us your thoughts, I suppose, on what you think about O'Shea Foster's comments as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to say that, isn't he? If he's his training partner, if he's his friend, Eddie Hearn's going to pick up on it because he's the promoter of this fight. He's Joe Cordina's promoter and wants it to make it look like, this is a competitive fight. Think of the 4 fights. By the way, how refreshing is it that there's only 4 fights on a card? I love that. It's like the people who of Monte Carlo, and the people of Monaco are like, mate, won't be putting on 8 shit fights here. I just want to see 4 fights, and they are competitive. The main event probably in some people is the least competitive, but anyway, that's besides the point. But yeah, I think that I don't really read much into what Shaki Foster's going to has said as well. You know, everyone will have said that. He's again just building the fight, making it into more of an event maybe than it actually is, selling tickets, whatever. We've kind of beat around the bush, I suppose, Elliot. I've stopped you from giving your prediction, but I will no longer. I'll come to you straight right back at you and first and say, obviously, you and I both did the preview for this fight, and we were both obviously siding with Joe Cordina. If I remember correctly, said it potentially late stoppage for Joe Cordina at that time. I went for maybe a wee bit earlier in the mid rounds. Is that still the case for you, or have you changed your mind ever so slightly?
I've changed my mind ever so slightly, Paul. I'm with you now. I'm in the mid round. I'm coming over to your side of the camp. Actually, I think you've got that spot on there. Yeah, Cordina stoppage. I mean, look, the guy is fighting Vazquez, like you said, he's not had a stoppage loss, even though he has had a loss, but he's come through 2 split decision victories relatively recently against guys that are nowhere in the sort of profile of Cordina or have the CV that Cordina's got either. So I think he's in trouble here, frankly. I know Cordina obviously got that split decision against Rakimov, but Rakimov, is obviously that was a hell of a victory and also a hell of a fighter. So for me, I think Cordina's with the size advantages he's got as well. I think he stops him. I'd go anywhere 5-7. I'll be betting if I had to put that, but I think he stops him. Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, mate, I completely agree with you. I think I'm staying in the camp I was in, kind of rounds 5 to 8, the middle third of the fight. That's how I see this going. You know, we've seen Cordina, obviously that knockout of Agawa to become champion, and then when he fought Rakimov, he dropped Rakimov in round 2. So he's probably pretty dangerous early. I could maybe see could it even be earlier than what we're saying? 5, 6 rounds? Maybe, I wouldn't be surprised. I think maybe even the first half of the fight could be the play here. If
Mhm.
anyone is wanting to put a bet on the fight. But yeah, mate, I think having watched the weigh-ins now. I'm with you. I think I'm 99.9% sure Joe Cordina wins this fight, and not only wins the fight, I'm fairly confident he wins it by stoppage. Unfortunately, we've got no more time for any other discussions, mate. I've enjoyed that. Thanks for jumping on with me. Yes, so go guys. Everyone watching, and what let us know your thoughts on the way and who looked better. Do you think it'll be? Are you more confident Cordina will win now, or you could see a potential upset here with the American beating the Welshman? Let us know your thoughts, guys. Once again, mate, thanks very much for jumping on with me, and guys, thanks very much for watching.
No, Paul, thank you very much for facilitating.